Sunday night in the Far East. Market opens. Let's call that 25.80-ish. Shot up almost $1 in, let's call that 4 or 5 hours. Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics on this fine Monday, where we did see the silver price rally as stimulus checks are growing and the government is doing its part. So that in case anybody out there was a little concerned over the last couple months saying, gee, gold and silver's gone up quick, could it be a bubble that's about to pop? The Washington establishment guaranteeing that's not the case. Although fortunately, kind of like the opposite of government, bringing you tonight's video is Silver Sands Resources. You saw mi amigo, Keith Anderson, on the show, I believe it was last Monday, had a great talk. And while Keith, I think, is brilliantly running Silver Sands, rounding up silver while the price is still spoofed lower, suppressed, whatever you want to call it, by JP and the gang. So Keith is rounding up silver, which I think is exciting. And as you can see here, completion of phase 1 exploration program at Virginia project. So some drilling news, and we'll have the link to that in the description field below. And speaking of which, other things that will be in the link in the description field below. Here's a page to win a 10-ounce Jesus Clears the Temple silver bar. This is one I've been carrying in my pocket with me, so this is just like some random one. Now those are not my fingers holding that there with red fingernail polish, just to be clear on that. Although before we get into the silver action, just a quick note, something I mentioned on Twitter earlier this week where, you know, we talk a lot about silver as money. I'm not sure that I buy silver because I think we're going to be using it as money again. I think that the investment demand and the industrial demand is going to gobble up the pie. But in either case, you know, I mean, we're a bunch of hoarders with silver. We think it's undervalued. So I made a commitment. I apologize sincerely on the behalf of myself, Arcadia, and our beautiful audience for the filthy and obscene dollar to silver ratio I've been carrying in my pockets. And I've done this before, but I'm getting back to making sure I have at least 10 ounces at all times. So today I had, this is the actual Jesus Clears the silver bar, Jesus Clears the Temple silver bar. When I have my background, it's a little hard to see, but there it is. 10 ounces. I also had, got some nice new Britannias. Quite a beautiful luster on these babies. I know I owe Andrew McGuire one, as you've heard me promise. And here's a beautiful Welcome to Silverbug Island coin. See if we can get that one close up there that I gave away last week. Our friend Jean-Claude of Beyond Mystic, who you've seen me on the show a couple times, his show. Unfortunately, his channel was blocked by the YouTube. So he started a new one, and as they got their 2,000 subscriber, we had a giveaway. So it's been a lot of fun giving away silver this year. One last note on that, and then I promise we will, I'll even pull up the chart, so more housekeeping notes. But just for anyone, I know we gave away a lot of silver at Silverfest, giveaways throughout the year. Perhaps my desire to give away silver was a little bit more exuberant than having the infrastructure set up. So I do want to make sure everybody who won silver did get it. Please don't send me emails of fictitious silver that you did not win. But if anyone did not receive a silver coin they have won, please do contact us at arcadia@milesfranklin.com so we can get that out to you and you have some nice shiny silver going into the new year, as you can see, because the price a little bit higher over the past 24 hours. Interesting developments in these price charts. It's become somewhat common this year. I mean, not common, but we've had many Sunday nights that look like this red line. So there, the blue line is when it's closed on Christmas. Then Sunday night in the Far East, market opens. Let's call that 25.80-ish. Shot up almost $1 in, let's call that 4 or 5 hours. It was funny. I was getting the messages on Twitter, getting some emails as well. Well, is the hammer about to drop? And You guys did a little bit here, dropped 40 cents, then got whacked down again there, but shot right back up. So unlike some of the other Sunday night opens where by the time we wake up Monday morning, price was down, hanging in there today. And especially interesting because if you look at the gold chart, a little bit of a different story. Well, actually, one more note on silver. I don't know if this really means anything. I'll just put it in the category of things I find interesting. You can see as the market opened, again in Asia, again up 30 cents, 28 cents here. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, the fundamentals are there, so it's not like, I don't know. It's not like, gee, if they only were printing $900 billion this week, then maybe gold or silver would go up. I mean, that's in place. But here you look at gold, similar on the open, shoots up, gaps up a bit higher. Maybe it was spoofed higher this time. But in either way, you see the price shoot up and then shoot right back down. And unlike silver, which still, even by the close, let's call that 40 cents, even after it came back down a bit, whereas gold was lower on the day. So nice to see silver take up for a change while gold is down. I mean, hopefully we'll see both of them up quite a bit in the near future. And anyway, again, just volatile trading. So nice start to the week, but at least for the silver fans, the price a little bit higher. Here's an interesting one. I got a request from this chart that Jeff Clark, I saw Jeff Clark present it. I don't know if he made it there on behalf of goldsilver.com and quandl.com, Business Insider LBMA. I guess this is public data, but someone was asking about it, and it is really an interesting chart showing the 1980 prices when you had the commodity spike versus 2018. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these numbers, and we can pull some of them up. Is my calculator nearby somewhere? Yeah. All right. So if we want to calculate any of these, for example, gold 850, obviously gold's more than a double, so over 100%. Ooh, rhodium. Let's take a look at the rhodium price. That one has gone up quite a bit. Let's see if they have rhodium on, or if I can spell rhodium. We will take a look at the price. All right, well, we'll skip the rhodium price for now, but 2000, it was over 10,000 per ounce. And maybe I will pull that up here so we'll get an exact rhodium price for you. But I mean, you can take a look at some of these other ones. Palladium. Let's actually, I got these charts right here. Here is our rhodium price. We'll pull that up. Let's also get palladium and platinum so we can take a look. I mean, it's just interesting because, again, you have gold over 100%. Rhodium was $833 in 1980. And where do we have rhodium today? Wow, up to 14,100 was the high. And over the last, and it's right up there now, it looks like, at the high, 14,100. So on that chart, rhodium 833, so that's over a 14 bagger. Platinum, interesting. Now we look at palladium was 350. Come back to platinum. Palladium 350 in 1980, and it is, let's call that 2,300. Wow, look at that palladium chart there. That certainly looks normal. I'm sure that the supply and demand change there. And again, I don't know if you call it manipulation or just that the whole world is dominated by algorithm trading. I just would assert that there's no development that made palladium at $2,240, $100 more valuable for about 2.5 hours before it was sold off. Again, I don't have access to the trading records. I can just go by the things that we've been able to collect, what Bart Chilton said, what Ted Butler reports. I don't know. Maybe the CFTC will comment on the positioning there. I wonder if there was a certain bank that has a track record of buying right here, always being the one to sell at the top and then buying back lower. I don't know. I'm only left to speculate. I think there's plenty of clues yet. In either case, let's call it 2,300. So from 350, that's a 7 or 8 bagger. And then platinum is interesting because here, and you see similar chart in platinum here. I'm sure the supply and demand curve changed during those couple hours of platinum as well. That would definitely make sense. And you see platinum from 750 to 1,000-ish. So one of the smaller moves. Keep in mind, platinum well below its all-time high of about 2,300 back in 2008. Now, again, this is definitely conspiracy theory, so please, don't take this seriously. But the confessions, as I clink little silver, ching ching, from JP Morgan and some of the other banks did include spoofing manipulation in platinum and palladium. They did also acknowledge to rigging the price of options. So basically, if you buy call or put options, they can rig the price and screw you on expiration, especially if you're one of their clients, because that's what they confess to doing. And then back to platinum, it's probably just a coincidence that it hit 2,300 2 weeks before the JP Morgan Bear Stearns deal where positions were passed over. And similar how silver went from 21 to 9 within days of the deal, despite the fact Bart Chilton said that JP Morgan took over the position, made it larger. And then as silver fell from 21 to 9 while investment banks were collapsing, record demand for silver to the degree that Andy Schecter and Miles Franklin is on record saying he thought they were going to go out of business because they simply couldn't source product in the middle of a shortage. That doesn't really make sense or add up. Welcome to silver land, but I don't know, just an interesting correlation to platinum that it hit its all-time high shortly before that. So make of that what you will, but anyway, I guess we've looked at a lot of these other ones. Let's take a look at copper. Where is copper at today? Real-time commodities. Let's pull that up. So copper at 360-ish. So copper, 3.5 bagger. But then you have silver, $50. So now silver is up to, close to 27, but yeah, 26.5, we'll call it. And so still half. It's the only one below the 1980 level. And happens to have the largest short position. I've not compared short positions, all of them, but Ted Butler writes about that quite a bit. We'll have a note from Ted in a second here, but anyway, someone had asked about that chart, and I think that paints a pretty clear picture. Especially with the industrial demand growing and consuming so much of the silver supply. We saw what happened with the investment demand. This would be reason 4,368,912 of why I think silver is massively undervalued. Again, not licensed financial advice, but that's why I have silver in my backdrop on my desk, aside from a couple of cryptos. Cryptos I have left over from 2017. Anything that I own financially is silver related. So anyway, you can make of that what you will. So here's Butler Research, Ted Butler's site. You've heard Ted on the show a couple times. Obviously, you guys probably knew Ted long before you heard of my show. And while I will not pull that part up on the screen for you to see, I will read a note that I found interesting from the last column. This is a pay site, so hopefully it's okay just to read a little snippet here. But by all means, if you're into silver and wondering what's going on, a great one to check out. Reading Ted's column for, I guess maybe nine and a half years now or so. But anyway, what you cannot see, but I will mention here, is that at the end he says, finally, I hear from a very reliable source of unusual demand for 1,000-ounce industry standard bars of silver Beyond the more typical public signs I generally report and rely on, in this case, the information was not deliberately sought out, but uncovered almost accidentally in the regular course of business. Certainly, there's been extreme demand for retail forms of silver for months, as reflected in the persistent premiums. While retail demand for silver is important on a longer-term basis, it's the demand for the 1,000-ounce bars that sets the price. And he was surprised to hear of the reported pickup in demand for 1,000-ounce bars, and will pass along any further developments. Although he says, I'm not expecting much more given how the information came about. So anyway, hopefully that's okay to mention. But great reason to go sign up for Ted's column and stay posted on some of the things that he is seeing in the markets. And certainly one of the forefathers of this movement of bringing some truth to the precious metals. And again, reason 9 million of why I like silver. Here we see the stimulus checks. Last week they were $600. Now they're growing. That part, obviously, I'm sure you're saying, all right, silver boy, we could have figured that out on our own. But maybe I have some good jokes on this whopper that, because some of the math doesn't seem to add up here. So on the 27th, they signed $900 billion coronavirus aid package. All right. So in all, the government will spend $164 billion on the second round. So 900 and 164 is going out to people. What? Well, let's dig in. I'm sure this article is going to explain the important stuff that the money's being spent on, what are income limits, second stimulus delayed. What if my family has changed? What if, this is fun. What if I get too much money? Is the payment taxable? Payments aren't taxable. Think of them as an increase to the tax refund you get. So that's nice. I mean, at least they're not taxing you on your stimulus dollars. I was thinking about it over the weekend. It's kind of exciting for me that now when I have my musings on the silver market, that people listen and find them interesting. As you know, it seems like there's some things that are not welcome to be shared on this platform, which is what it is, and I will accept and respond accordingly. Although along those lines, I've been thinking about recording some comments, maybe just setting them out separately somehow, because it's just as you read some of these things, I mean, there's sometimes the things that I'm not able to say on here and would love to share. But just for example, I mean, this whole thing, the whole tax thing in general seems quite silly to me, because keep in mind, we had arguably the greatest run of human productivity in history of the Industrial Revolution before there was an income tax, before there was an IRS. And then, so basically we have this Constitution that's the perfect document brought down, in the tablets, and yet the IRS requires an amendment to that. So you're saying like, oh, actually, the Constitution wasn't right, and now we do need to just take money. And it's interesting. That's the kind of thing that I really love studying, the psychological marketing effect, similar to the way that and most people believe it's not only the U.S.'s job to install democracy across the globe, but that even ever democracy was the plan here, that the U.S. was a democracy. It was specifically designed as a republic because they knew some of the flaws with democracy, where if 51% of the people say, hey, for you other 49%, I want everything you have, which is an exaggeration, yet in my studies of free market economics, how these things usually divert. So anyway, the idea that we're a democracy, or that it's patriotic to pay income tax, when then you see, I mean, first of all, this is, they already spent the money they collected in taxes, and then when you want to, I don't know how much the government really wants to help anyone out, but at least when they're sending out money, 900 billion goes out, 164 billion goes to the people. And, but I mean, I'm sure it's safe to assume that the other 736 billion was spent on important stuff. Unfortunately, Wall Street on Parade was able to dig into that and find that the language Toomey inserted into the stimulus bill enshrines a $681 billion trading slush fund for Steve Mnuchin with the New York Fed. I remember it was interesting when both candidates discussed the exchange stabilization fund during the debate and told people how that's used to intervene in markets. If you ever find those market skeptic videos, I believe that was the name of his channel. I looked for it before I started the video. Wasn't able to find it, but there's a series of YouTube videos that may have been taken down because, it's obviously, in this era of transparency, the government does not tell you about some of the unfortunate things that, happens. And that's why, here there's 681 billion. Maybe that's a lot of the rest of the money that isn't going to the people. But again, you don't see this mentioned. Instead of turned over just 1 billion for the emergency lending programs. Anyway, you can check this one out on your own on Wall Street on Parade. You could just Google it. I mean, you could pull up any article, stimulus bills, pathetic $600 checks, and pork giveaways are savage. I mean, it's not hard to find the porculus involved in these deals. And this was actually interesting. Here's from Ron Paul, but did get an email address from, and I'm going to reach out, see if we can get him on the show. That sure would be special. And I don't know how many interviews he's doing these days, but I have a couple of leads and we'll see what we can get, because I would love, here would be a fun question to ask him. So we have $900 billion going out for important things, apparently such as $10 million for gender programs in Pakistan. Yes, I can see. Because it's like, all right, even if you have a health disaster, if you had one, or if you have one, I don't know. I'm unable to figure that out. I'm confused, but I mean, it's like, and you don't have money saved to help people that your government's really putting a big obstacle in the way of their ability to make an income. So if you're going to send money out, I mean, it'd be great if you had money saved, but of course the government's over $28 trillion in debt now that you're attacking this $900 billion. So, I mean, that's not ideal that, they're just going to print it. And of course, they got to print extra to beef up the exchange stabilization fund because they need their cut. But I mean, it's like all that, none of it's ideal. But then you see that important programs, and by all means, respect, sign me up for gender equality in Pakistan. I support that. I love the men there. I love the women there, the dogs, the cats, everybody. It's kind of like when you're that much in debt that you have to print money to fund anything you do, and you're sending $10 million to a foreign country, further putting your own country at risk, similar to, I was not able to find how much the US spends on troops in Europe, which seems bizarre. I think we have like 30,000 troops in Germany. I remember in that Market Wizards book back in, I think it was 1989, I've not been able to verify whether he's correct, but he said a couple times, I believe Jim Rogers said it was like 150 billion was being spent per year just for American troops in Europe. And actually along the lines of what I was mentioning before of like topics that I don't discuss on YouTube, although maybe I'll have Rob Keents on. We were talking about this one. And, but I mean, of all the things that, a two-pronger here. That is outside of Ron Paul. Someone pointed out Peter Schiff back in maybe 2011 when we ran for Senate. I was asking people, is there anyone that actually, we don't have to go as like wild and crazy as say like had a free market-based platform. And I'm not talking about Ronald Reagan's like alleged free market-based platform where they just continued the nonsense in the background. Oh, I don't know. I guess Volcker was raising interest rates for a while there. I mean, it was closer, I think, if you dig deeper into that. I don't know if I'd call that a free market. Someone mentioned Coolidge, who I actually have a fondness for because I read a book about the Great Depression. And Coolidge actually seemed pretty cool because he sounded like he would talk about Hoover and his asinine Obamian agenda. Ooh, that's right. I just said Obamian. Ooh, that was slick. Um, so Coolidge would giggle at Hoover like, this guy is insane. I remember thinking that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's amazing that forget, all right, we don't have to say like, have there been a lot of candidates, but I was asking people, is there anyone, not just president, not just now, not just the US, but any office at any point in time in any country throughout history was like, can you name someone that actually, you don't have to go as far as saying free market, but just, I don't know, wasn't like trying to steal everything in sight? And it's amazing to me how difficult that is to find. And then the other part that I think we're I knew we're going to be doing a lot more about is that, all right, you had the debates, you have whatever the heck you call what's going on now, and all the things that are discussed, and now here's 900 billion more out the door. And I would extend this even to within the metals community or the crypto community, if you want to toss them in there, the truther or freedom, where it's like all these different things that are discussed. I was thinking, I can't think of anyone who actually said, well, if China just did decide tomorrow to crash the treasury market or say, you know what, we don't want any more paper, we're done, we're going to take our gold, best of luck to you. So if you had that happen, like what would we do? And I mean, this is the kind of thing that I thought government was supposed to be there for, where really, I mean, I know, I get it. I understand Trump and Pelosi and Joe Biden, you know, they can't sleep because they're very concerned about gender equality in Pakistan. I understand that, but, you know, maybe, you know, after they recover from their horror about that issue, it's like, there's no discussion on, hey, there's a real risk here financially. Instead, they just lie and say the economy's great and print more money. But there's not, isn't that what government should be doing? Saying, hey, all right, you know, okay, it's not, you know, this guy's fault. It's been going on for a long time. But what do we, let's make a plan. We see this threat. Let's do something about it. Let's at least facilitate a conversation. And it's just amazing that you couldn't be farther from there. So, I mean, once again, it's like government, I mean, I guess I can like pick on government. It's not like a specific person, so I don't feel like being mean. It's just like mud, you know? I mean, but it's like not only do they, it's like if they just did nothing, that would be the biggest upgrade ever. But it's like everything possible, government makes worse. Yara, can we get those in the Arcadia store? Some government makes everything worse t-shirts possible. Maybe then, but silver saves the day on the back. Turn that into a positive. So anyway, I think you get the point. And it's just incredible to me that, I mean, all right, we know government's not going to think of it. But then I was thinking even just to initiate a conversation in this fortunate position where I have the show and all the people that I get to speak to, we're going to be doing more about that. So, I mean, rather than just waiting till the thing collapses and say, we're all fucked, at least get people together, thought leaders, people who are involved in the different segments of the markets. I mean, you know, we have Kinesis out there. We have, I think the individual parts are out there. And while government is apparently not going to pick up the ball and respond to the greatest threat, but rather just lie to the face of the people, well, we'll do it together here on Arcadia Economics. So hit the share button and tell your friends. Because, I mean, last government point here, just, I know it's easy to complain about government. I mean, there's certainly, you know, the boob of the whole thing, you know, but at some point, you know, and by all means, I've been guilty of that myself, the blame game. Although I like to think as I'm getting a little older, I don't know about wiser, but as I'm getting a little older, the idea of I wonder if that's like an American ideal, the need to blame someone versus seeing, all right, well, maybe something doesn't go right the first time. Maybe we're learning. How do we take this and improve upon it? What can we learn? In either case, I think it'd be a lot of fun to have some roundtables, get some of these smart folks I have on here, and at least get the conversation going. Maybe we'll get a website up where people can share feedback, but just that's the thing. There's so many brilliant, smart people out there that are doing different things, and I don't think it has to be that we just wait until something bad happens. Obviously, I think owning gold and silver will be part of it, but anyone who, if they're not in the best financial situation, looking for income or a job, the idea of, creating an initiative to that, certainly something I think a lot of people would be grateful for, and I think we could, have people sponsor and would really do a great service. So anyway, stay tuned, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. So if you want to be involved in that, I guess I just started thinking of it. We'll put some more structure around that. But anyway, that's the thought there. Let's hit the refresh button on this one. Okay, Bitcoin is back below $27,000. We've seen this a couple of times over the years where you wake up and Bitcoin's $1,000 higher than the last time you looked. Went through that $20,000 2017 high and has soared right through. It's interesting. I talked to a Bitcoin aficionado last night who was saying, gee, if you had Bitcoin and you've seen that volatility, would you want to diversify a little or just some money management? He did not think so. And then on the other hand, so I mean, I say that just in the sense that there's some people I know that it's Bitcoin, nothing else. Then I talk to other people who are even very fond of the cryptos, but don't think Bitcoin could be facilitated for regular commerce, like going out to a restaurant. The first guy was saying that with Lightning Network and upgrades that it would be able to fit that bill. I'm not going to claim to know, and I do not have any Bitcoins, unfortunately. But I guess the main reason I'll bring it up, I think it's worth keeping an eye on. It's an interesting event, but I guess my short take is that if you had a stable currency, I would not think, big Bitcoin numbers would make a lot of sense. But given that, and I get it, the different arguments to Bitcoin, but to me, what seems indisputable is that what we're using in the dollar right now is the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. So you can say you like Bitcoin, you don't like Bitcoin. I don't think anyone's like making an argument for the dollar. So at least to the degree, if Bitcoin can't really be expanded past the 21 million coins that are out there, which my understanding is that while exchanges have been hacked, that it's never yet the Bitcoin code that has been hacked. And what is it, 10, 11 years now? So I don't know, maybe Bitcoin is hackable and it will be someone else, but I would continue to look at it as similar to maybe like a Visa or MasterCard, which could facilitate, because let's say you want to send $2,000 to a contractor in another country, but you don't want to put your silver coins and fractions of a silver coin in a post office envelope. Anyway, I think there's going to be a combination between the two. I wonder if there will be some point at which the cryptos or Bitcoin and gold and silver will run in tandem. I mean, silver's up a bit over the past week or so. Certainly it has not gone Bitcoin yet, but hopefully soon, and hopefully in 2021, silver will go Bitcoin. So anyway, that's why the main reason I'm tracking it. I'm just wondering, will this be something where, I don't know if this is a sign that people are losing faith and think China's about to say, stiff it to the dollar. I don't know if that's it, but it's just interesting. So we will see and hope for a silver-like run of that. Last one, we did get a request for an update on the banned JP Morgan from trading gold and silver. A little odd that they were labeled a criminal enterprise, and then they just racked up a nice $1 billion profit, more than covering their $920 million fine. Although, fortunately, we're up to 1,700 signatures now. Appreciate everyone who's taken the time to read that and sign it. I did get a request from one viewer. If you want to send this to whitehouse.gov, I don't have the first clue how much good that could possibly do, but I don't know. I mean, you'd think there's someone in the government who's aware of this. Who really knows? But anyway, that link is actually in the description field every day. So if anyone wants to check that out, or by all means, if you'd like to send that to CFTC, Congress, regulators, I send out as many emails from different things as I can per day. But anyway, I appreciate the people I know send some of these things out on my behalf. So by all means, go ahead and do that. Any of the stuff I put public or any of these videos, send it to, if anything resonates and you think, gee, I wish my lawmakers would respond to that. Regulators that, you know, our government is printing money to fund while they ignore evidence. I mean, Bart Chilton was telling the CFTC the thing was rigged. They said nothing was found. Department of Justice found plenty. They didn't find just that the market was rigged. They found thousands of incidences of spoofing right through the exact time the CFTC was doing their investigation, and said they couldn't find anything, thereby perhaps suggesting that whenever the CFTC says anything, given their Ben Bernanke-like track record, maybe take it with a grain of salt. And lastly, before we wrap up here, again, in the description field below, win this 10-ounce Jesus Clears the Temple silver bar. That's coming from my own personal stash. I don't know, no other reason, just it's fun to do fun things on the show. Get some silver out to the people. And actually, even as we've been doing this one, I noticed I have a lot of other cool silver stuff. So I've lined up the next 2 months giveaways as well. So go there, sign up, and somebody is going to win that. So with that said, going to wrap up for tonight. But thanks again for being here. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, tonight's video was sponsored by Silver Sands Resources, a very interesting silver company. And Keith Anderson was on the show last week. And to hear what he had to say, well, that video is coming your way now.